Chandler is legitimately one of the best prospects in all of baseball. And I wonder if he hasn't already had a path paved in front of him to be of immediate assistance. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Chandler was named is too strong of a term, but let's just say he finished third in a poll that MLB Pipeline did of big league executives when it comes to pitching prospects. So they see him based on the way they cast their votes, the people who get paid to do this for a living, as the number 3 most promising pitcher. And that's neat. That's cool. It would be really something if the organization were to have an immediate follow-up to both Paul Skeens and Jared Jones. And right then and there, I'm going to caution everybody that until you get into the bigs and do it, none of this other stuff counts. It just doesn't, including toward whether or not you were a great pick. Now, it would appear that he was a great pick, coming out of Clemson, multi-sport guy, third rounder in 2021, and good for everyone to date for what's been done with him. If he does make it, and if he does pitch the way Jones did, that'll be a second significant feather in the cap for the Ben Cherington people over a 5-year span. Of more immediate interest, I would think, is can he do what Jones just did? Because Jones, don't forget, wasn't viewed by anybody, and I can tell you unequivocally that includes on the inside, as having a chance to be in the Pirates' rotation to start the season. And yet, there he was in Miami starting the season and striking out everybody in sight for a while there before injuries kind of got to him, and then setbacks once he came back and a couple of rougher outings. I don't think that would take any of the potential based luster off of Jones. He's really something, and he's going to be fun to watch grow into something more. But he also might have done Chandler a really big favor, because his pushing his way to Miami out of spring training came honestly. He was flooring people in grapefruit ball. He wasn't just showing, that he could get hitters out while they're trying to get warmed up for the season. He was just blowing the ball by them. And he was showing command of his off-speed pitches. He was showing a usage of his off-speed pitches that demonstrated a real maturity, that demonstrated the kind of stuff and poise and everything else that you'd want in your rotation immediately. Now, repeat, they didn't see that happening, and that's really rare. That spring training scripts, and they're all scripted, don't play out in one direction or the other the way management expects. So here's Chandler, 22 years old, pretty much the same trajectory that Jones had. He spent some time in Altoona, some time in Indianapolis this past season. Not an even split, but plenty enough in Indy. He ended up going a combined 10-7, the 3.08 ERA, a 1.02 whip, and 148 strikeouts in 119 2/3 innings. Now, what really got everybody's attention was in those 7 starts in AAA, he was just smoking guys. He was routinely running up 8, 9, 10 strikeouts a start. And this was in a matter of a handful of innings. This wasn't 8 innings, 9 innings. And within that, he was doing it in September, when never mind what impact that has on AAA bats, because the better hitters get called up and so forth. But it also speaks to his durability, that he's able to be firing away like that so deep into the schedule. Remember Skeens' comments once he started pitching in September, he said, I've never done this before. I've never pitched in September before. And we forget that some of that stuff is, completely new to these guys. Just because we see it year after year after year, to these kids, that's like, wow, I'm pitching in September. Well, Chandler was pitching in September and pitching exceedingly well. Now, I've expressed some skepticism here about the complete depth of this rotation since the Luis Ortiz trade, not necessarily because of the Ortiz trade or getting Spencer Horwitz in return. I'm talking about I liked what Luis brought to the back of that bullpen. And without him, you're seeing a rotation of Skeens, Jones, Mitch Keller, maybe Bailey Falter, maybe Johan Oviedo if he's recovered fully from his Tommy John. But you don't want maybes. You don't want a starter or two starters in your rotation to negate whatever great effect you get, in particular from Skeens. You don't want there to be an automatic loss to go with the perceived automatic win. You following me here? What's more, this shouldn't surprise anybody, the Pirates have added really nothing when it comes to the rotation. So that, plus Jones's path, plus the way everyone would appear to be perceiving how Chandler pitched, especially later in 2024, would, it seems to present the opportunity for the kid to go down there and do the same thing. Now, I wouldn't wish that on any 22-year-old. It's not easy getting big league hitters out, even in that setting. It's not easy doing what Jones did. But I'll tell you the part that I really like about this, and you knew I had to throw in something here. If Chandler pitches well, right, you know where I'm going here. If Chandler pitches well, they have no choice but to take him to Miami as well, because that's where they're opening this season too. And they're not going to have any excuse or any Super 2 nonsense or any of that. Because they did the right thing with Jones. They ended up doing the right thing with Skeens. They got to do the right thing by Chandler if he earns it. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Abandoned ship, Bob. Sell the team. Are you a Pirates fan who is angry or apathetic about our perennial losing baseball team? Do you feel helpless because you don't know how to make a difference? Well, good news. We have something you can do about it. Join our Sell the Team movement. We're a group of passionate fans voicing our frustration and demanding change through billboard campaigns, press outreach, protests, and involvement at local city government meetings. Go to ourteamnothis.com to get involved.
An unusual J1Q today in that there's no actual question. It comes from a longtime listener in Bob Elliott, and Bob shares the following. He says, in reference to the great Monday J1Q, which, by the way, was about owners of franchises being stewards for civic institutions and the franchises actually belonging to the city and to the people of the city, Bob says, Brian Martin wrote a really good biography on Barney Dreyfuss, the Pirates' original owner. It's worth a read if you're a Pirates fan, especially one dealing with an owner and management team like the one currently in place. In short, Dreyfuss, a German immigrant who also moved from Kentucky to Pittsburgh, he just got it. He understood that the Pirates were the city's team. He also hated to lose, and he even spent his own money to build a state-of-the-art baseball stadium for Pittsburgh. I'm jumping in here in parentheses. That's obviously Forbes Field in Oakland. We're stuck right now, Bob continues. stuck with an owner who was given the keys to a great Pittsburgh institution and who is not competitive. Not a good combination. Dreyfus would be disgusted too. You know, if you read your franchise history, and that's really the only way to consume it, they don't do documentaries and videos on things from the early 1900s or whatever, you'll appreciate, I believe, a lot of what made the Pirates such a part of the fabric of this community. And that's still, to this day, at least for me, the main reason I think that bond is still there, the one that Clint Hurdle talked about, rebonding. That doesn't go away. It's been passed down through too many generations. And when you have an event, for example, like the 2013 blackout, and you have all these stories, and maybe you lived one of these stories of children taking their parents or their grandparents and some sort of father-son, mother-daughter type of thing to PNC Park for that special night and enjoying together what it's like to see the Pirates competitive and what it's like to see the city 100% behind them. The elders, I think, would have appreciated it more than anybody because they get to show their kids, hey, this is what it used to be like. I haven't been nuts to be watching all these games and listening to all these games, okay? I really wasn't going batty. This is real. This has always been real. That link and that generational continuity is something that it's not easy to replicate with anything else in our city. The Steelers go back to 1933. The Penguins go back to 1967. The Pirates go back to almost the bleeping Civil War, way back to 1882. And the stories that you can read about, whether it's a book like the one that Bob recommended or the book that I always recommend, which is called The Pittsburgh Pirates. It was published in 1943 by Frederick J. Lieb, who was a newspaper writer, of course, near and dear to my heart, who covered in person as a beat writer the 1925 World Series, which is spectacular to read about. Like, if you weren't even remotely interested in this team, or maybe even baseball, I would recommend this. The drama in this, the twists and the turns, just within Game 7 will blow your mind. You'll find that there were a lot of people who were in Dreyfus's spirit who had a real competitive edge to them, whether it was the players, the managers, or at that time, the player/managers, and of course, Dreyfus himself. And yeah, it does drive you nuts because you can't get what's current out of your head in reading that stuff. Much appreciated there, Bob. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to have another one of these tomorrow.